Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm Fabio Rosa, the CEO and co-founder of TagoIO. I'm here today with David Hall. We're going to talk about TagoIO Basic. So let's talk and learn a little bit about how to build applications using the key features of TagoIO. We are recording this session and they're going to send you the link and make this presentation available so that you can watch again or share with those that you think that makes sense to learn more about the Tago. Also, we have the Q&A section at the end. So feel free to make any question, comments right away. It will be our best to reply in real time if possible. But for sure, at the end, you're going to cover your questions. We have a agenda very focused on the concept and demo. So we are going to spend just a couple of minutes, starting with me, to do a presentation about the key things about Tago, just 10 minutes. Also about the features and models, so you can understand how to use the Tago. And then Dave's gonna present the key features from the platform perspective, and also build in real time a solution with you step by step. And as I mentioned before, we're gonna have the Q&A. So very briefly about the TagoIO. So TagoIO is the platform focused on the cloud side to help companies to bring information from sensors to the business. Today, we continue growing with more than 9,000 accounts. We have been used for several countries, more than 100 of them right now. And we have a partner so far with more than 70 partners that allow us to add a lot of integration in our system. For example, devices. So we have more than 400 devices ready for you to use, because when you are building this IoT solution, you need to have a start point. And we partner with LoRa Alliance, ST, Sentech, Evernet, Tectel, Sigfox, and others that are part of this ecosystem. Talk about the ecosystem, very high level here. TagoIO allows you to build the application. So we have connectors that allows you to get the data from the end devices that normally sensor for temperature or to measure status of something or humidity or any kind of data through a network. So we have networks already integrated with Tago that make your life very easy to get the data from a sensor connected to a certain type of a network or a mix of networks. For example, you may have a sensor connecting a 3G network or Wi-Fi and LoRa or Sigfox, and you need not only one kind of data or network, but you need to combine them. So you can do this with a Tago. So you collect this information Tago, and then you build your application. You call TagoIO as your portal. I'm going to show you 1 minute. Then you can integrate with other system, for example, Google Sheets, Google Docs, Help Desk, and so on. Or maybe inside of your company, you have a ERP system or CRM system. So you can use our connectors to get data and send the data to your company. TagoIO is for developers, okay? If you have just a little bit of experience, you are able to do your application. You have more experience, you can add more and more value. But then when you want to deploy your solution for your end users, normally customers or partners, you use TagoRA. I'm going to show you in 1 minute. These are the key models, key components that the Tago offers. There are many more than this, but basically you have device management. So you can generate the authorization, the connector, you can store data on Tago, you can downstream data, maybe have your data locally stored, and they have, let's say, a backup every day. You can also create scripts to run analysis, to generate report, analytics with machine learning, AI, or simple calculation. And of course, you have dashboards, and the dashboards you use it to build your visualization for the browsers or mobile app. Then you go beyond that. It's not only about IoT. You can access your users. You can manage how they're going to see the data. And also you can have a white label version, so you can add your brand. So 2 steps. First, you go create your free account at the TagoIO, admin.tago.io. Then you can manage your devices, store data, create notifications, create integration, create your visualization. And then you deploy using TagoRun. When you deploy, basically, you allow others to come to your solution. So they don't go to the admin.tago.io, but they go to a URL that reflects your company. When you brand it, you can have a custom domain. For example, instead of something.tago.io, can be like a portal.mycompany.com. You can customize the emails that people are going to receive when there is alert or they're sign up to your portal. You can change the colors, the logo, favicon. There are a lot of things that you can do, and Dave, they're going to show some of them. Again, that really goes beyond the IoT. For example, you can generate reports. If you want to create a PDF report, you have examples how to do that. If you want to generate a CSV report, that's very easy to do. Also have forms. So the dashboards are not only to show temperature, humidity, and information from the sensors. You can collect input from the users. For example, what's the name of your company? How many pieces are here? Also, you can collect pictures from a mobile application or read a barcode or QR code. So there are a lot of features that you can do. When you talk about the devices, you can take a look here, just a flavor about type of devices that are available. There are more than 500 of them, what we call connectors, ready to be used. Okay, so if you need something, for example, for smart agriculture, okay, you can go there in the list, type the name of the sensor that you're looking for. For example, you're looking for humidity sensor, soil sensor, or bean level, and they're going to show up. Okay, we partner with a lot of companies that they provide ready-to-go information from the sensor to the connectivity. So here are some examples of sensors. Other thing that's important is that, how about what happens if the sensor is not there, right? Let's say that you are designing your own sensor, or you just found another sensor that's not in the list. You can always add, you can create your own connector. One nice feature that we just released this year is the device simulator. Device simulator is a way for you to start with a tag right away, even when you don't have a sensor. Okay, maybe you are just purchasing the sensor and you didn't get yet, or you want to do some experimentation. And they're going to show step by step how to get that, but it's very simple. Basically, you go to the list of devices, you select the simulator, and then you're going to see some example. We'll have for freezers, so you can click there, and then you start to receive from every, I think, 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to receive the temperature of a freezer. And this is really going to be populating your account. So right away, you can get a dashboard template like this one that is showing here, and you can edit the dashboard. You can create the actions, create the SMS, and do a lot of calculations, share with others as you want. And you'll have a more example. There are more features than those related to the IoT. For example, we have a multi-language. Even a free account, you can create and use the dictionary. So you can create keys and associate with the language of our country. For example, you can add in German, Spanish, Portuguese, and frankly, any language. Also, you have this single sign-on. It's helped a lot in terms of security and control for you and for your IT department. And also you have the custom mobile app. For free, you can get the TagoRun mobile app and have your application right away, even with your logo. But if you want to remove Tago completely and you want to deploy to the stores like App Store and Google Play, you just work with us and you have this available. Other feature that's very interesting is the custom widget. We need a little bit of expertise in the design, but it allows you to create any kind of feature. For example, here you have a map. We have heat maps on top. You can get image from satellite, for example, about the weather, if it's raining, if it's hot. So you can create this even if the widget is not available. Okay, that's basically what I had from my side. Just give you a brief introduction about Tago. Now I will allow David to get from here.
Yes, thank you, Fabio. I'm gonna share my screen here, everybody. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. So I'm going to go over a couple basics here we're going to go through the simulator, but first I want to start with some basics to get you going. So it's very helpful for you. So here I'm at admin.tago.io. So this is my home page. Here you can see on the far left, I have, I'm going to talk about some of the main components. Devices. Devices are where your sensors are. So how you download them and you configure them here on Tago for your devices. Your data from your devices lives in buckets. So that's what the buckets is used for here. And you also have files, and I'll show you, I'll get into these a little more as we progress through this demonstration to really show you in real time. Then Fabio mentioned analysis, to where you could have reports, script-driven analysis of machine learning or whatever you would like there. So it's very helpful. A lot of my customers, I speak to customers all day long, hundreds of customers throughout the month, and analysis is very popular. Actions is where you could create actions based on notifications, and there's different triggers and things like that with actions. And then you have access, and that's really where you're going to give access to your certain dashboards or the cool things that you have created for your users. And then you have your users. Obviously, we're going to get into these more, but this is where you can manage your users and give them access to things. You can turn them off, turn them on, things like that, reset their passwords, stuff like that. We're just where you can really manage your users. And then as Fabio mentioned, we have Tago Run. Run is really the end user application, and we're going to build that out. I will build that out for you on this call. Also here on the far right, if you notice where my cursor is, we have in-app notifications. I currently don't have any, but if I did, you would see a red mark here, pretty traditional across the software industry. And then you have a quick help guide. If you click on this, you can see very quickly, you can get to our website, system status, changelog, community support, and so on. And then you have some things down here. But one thing that I think is really cool is you have a quick search here. You could say PDF, let's say. And it's going to generate a list of options for PDF here. So that's really cool. And then don't forget down below here, you have lots of things. If you scroll, you have lots of different things down here for concepts, devices, so on and so forth. Dashboard overview and those sort of things. So just a quick talk about that. So don't forget about this. It's very helpful to get there very quickly. And then you have your main profile. Here you can get to your billing, to where you can manage your account. You could add add-ons and things like that. You could manage your profiles. And then as Fabio was mentioning, you have dictionaries and multi-language. This is where you would set that up. And we have a cool video out there, by the way. We have videos for lots of different things, for basically everything that I'm talking about here. And self-help guided videos as well to help you build your dashboards and so on and so forth. And then from there, we have Quick Start, which has been very helpful. I get lots of comments on this. You can just here, create a device, show me. And then if you notice here on the far left, you're going to get a cool tooltip of, basically what you can do with it here. And that goes, I won't go through all these. I think you guys kind of get the idea. But here I go, okay, show me how to create a dashboard. And then you can see it right here. And same with actions, brand and deploy, kind of the same idea there. But let's get into this a little bit. One thing that I'm going to start, so I already have a dashboard created. And we'll get into this a little bit. I'm going to talk about this briefly, but then we're going to go in and build our own. I know that the colors are bright and things like that, but I kind of did that on purpose because really you could be very creative with Tago, and you could build the look and feel that really matches on how you want to portray this to your customers. And in this particular case, I have a cool background image. And as I said, I could change these colors and things like that. But quickly, I want to show you how you can change these things once you have your dashboard created. And then we'll go ahead and create a dashboard and deploy it for our run users. If you just click over here on the far right, you'll see a pencil icon. You could go into edit mode. And this particular time is where you want to edit the whole dashboard. But in this case, I want to be able to edit my widgets. So here, if I just click on these 3 dots that you see, and they're on all your widgets that you have, you can move your widgets around and those sort of things. But here, there's lots of different things you could do. You could move it, you could delete it, you could duplicate it, which is very useful, where you would just duplicate and change a few settings and things like that. But in this particular case, I'm just going to go to edit. If I go to edit, if you notice here, I can see that widget now, and now it's centered to where that's the focus of the screen. So you could really see what you're changing in real time before you save it. So if you don't like something, you just sit here and tweak it a little bit until you get it to how you want it to look. And I think that is really cool. Here you have the title where you could change the title, and that would be this section here. Data from device, we're going to get into that when I create the dashboard, but here you have the colors. Here I could change the background. I could put in the color code if you know it, or you could just simply drag and drop and really get it to how you want to look. Another cool feature that I use all the time is really you could make it opaque, right? You could make it transparent or whatever you want to do there. So pretty cool. And you have lots of different options here. Where you have the border, the needle. And I will say for each widget, there'll be a lot of the options that are the same, kind of like a common denominator. But depending on your widget, you're going to have different things that you can configure. Like here I have formulas and units, I have range, and so on and so forth. So this is really where you're going to configure the look and feel of how you want your widgets to look. And then you have a cool thing here where you could actually put in some help text. So you could have a cool tooltip and those sort of things. So I'm going to go ahead and I will just go ahead and save this. It's going to save my changes, and you can see now it's a little opaque. You can see through it a little bit, and so on and so forth. You could also add more widgets. From here, I won't do this for the sake of this, but I do want to show this because it is a basic functionality of Tago. This is where you would come in and you would add the widgets that I had just shown you. So we'll go back here. And now let's actually create a dashboard. For the sake of this, I'm going to use the simulator, as Fabio mentioned during his part of the presentation. Super easy to use. It's a fairly new feature. It's been out a little while. But I get a lot of feedback from this, being the customer success manager here at Tago, and people really enjoy it because a lot of people don't have their sensor set up. They want to see, well, what can I do with Tago? So we created the simulator. And to get to the simulator here on the far right, you will see add a device. Just click on add a device. And by the way, when Fabio was mentioning we have over 500, this is where you could search for that. If I just search in for GPS, it's just going to load up all the sensors we have for GPS and so on and so forth. Temperature, humidity, that kind of idea. But here on this pane here, this navigation, you see where it says simulator. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and we'll do the freezer simulator. But obviously you can choose any one of these. It's very easy to use. I'll go ahead and choose this simulator, and I'm going to call this device 10. And freezer 1, and I want this, I want the temperature unit to be Fahrenheit, but you can change this as well. You could change, what freezer you want it to be, and so on and so forth. And then here, I'm just going to click on create my device. And as we mentioned here, we have some quick notes. It can take a few minutes for it to build the dashboard and things like that, because it is simulated data. But I'm going to go ahead and create my device. And there you see my device has been created. Nice little cool informational link. So you know, oh, okay, it's created. So as I mentioned, we created the device over here on the far left, and we link that device to a bucket to where the data lives, as I mentioned in the beginning. And then here, simply say, get the dashboard template here. Just click on this here. It's going to open up a new tab. Then I'm going to say install template. I'm going to say device 10 because it automatically created my device. I'm going to confirm and associate, and you can see now I have the dashboard. And you need to give it a little bit, as I mentioned, but by the end of this presentation, this will probably be populated. So that's why I'm going to kind of move on to the other dashboard that I have ready. But it is, there you go, right in real time, perfect timing. It actually just built the dashboard. So again, as I mentioned, just for a little refresh, you can come in here and click edit, and you could edit your widgets. You could put a background theme as I did in the first dashboard that I showed you and things like that. So super easy to use to do this. But let's go back to the weather dashboard real quick. I want to speak about TagoRun a little bit. So I built this cool dashboard, and now I want to share it out with my customers. I'm proud of what I've done. So now let's share it out. So when I speak about TagoRun, I'm really talking about how your end users are going to access your application. And I say your application because it is yours. You've built it, you own it. You can share it with whoever you like. So this is not Tago's data or anything like that. This is your data. You own this dashboard. So let's go around. I'm just going to click on TagoRun right here. And there's lots of things you can do in TagoRun. So I won't speak to every one of these specifically, but I do want to build this out for you so you can see it in real time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a user sign up, and then I'll show you how to activate that user, how to use access, and then how they could really access the entire application. So here you have the main page. You could change the title to whatever you like, as well as the subtitle. You could put in your logo, and you can put in your favicon. Right now you can see it looks kind of boring, right? It's kind of a white background and things like that. It looks a little boring, but we could spice that up a little bit. For the domain, again, you're going to notice run.tago.io. That is always going to be there unless you purchase white label to make it your own. And then there'll be no reference of Tago at all. And even the email templates that I'm going to briefly talk about will be coming from your domain. Tago will not be mentioned anywhere at all once white label is enabled. But I can change the portion of this. Right now it says dhull. So if I just delete that, you'll see it's changing here. And then down here on the bottom where the link is, you can see now it just says run.tago.io. You could type in anything you want here to get you going. And then I have the navigation bar. Here again, I could change my colors in real time. Let's change the navigation bar real quick. Just slide it over again. If I had my, and see, you could see it in real time. That's one thing that I really like. And I also get a lot of feedback on this, that you don't have to save and go back and look and, you know, is it, it's not quite right. Let me change it. You can see it here in real time until you really get it to where you want. And by the way, that's throughout here. I can navigate away from this and just click on these other things and configure other things as we're going to do. And then I can save later. So you don't have to save in each one of these configuration areas, if you will. You could go one by one. Now the sign up page. The sign up page, we have fields here. You can make them required or not required once you add fields. And to simply add a field, you would just click this, you'd give it a name, a placeholder, and then you would save after you're done building out your TagoRun. Also, we have terms and conditions for maybe you have some legal purposes where you need your terms and conditions displayed. Right here, very useful. The theme. So the theme here, again, very similar across Tago, just like as I showed you with the widgets, when I showed you with the domain and the main configuration of TagoRun. You could change these certain colors, you could change the opacity and things like that. Right now, I just have this set to default, but it's a little boring for me. So I want to spice it up a little bit. Very simple to do. In this particular case, I'm going to go with the video. And I already had a video here, and I'll show you how I got that real quick. But basically what I did is I went into files, and I will go over that briefly with you. I went into files and I just downloaded this little MP4. You could have your images in there, and then I just put the path of where it lives. And you could easily get the path from this files button. You'll see a copy URL button. You just click on that, and then you just copy and paste it here, and you're good to go. You could also have a sign up logo, but I think this is pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then I'm going to speak to a few more of these before we actually get into deploying it. So I'm going to save this. And again, really cool, tells you in real time on what's going on. It is done. Multi-language, Fabio mentioned that a little bit. Here's where you would have those options. The email templates, you can create your own template, or you could use our templates that we already have here. Most customers, it's really a mix. Some customers use the ones we have and plus create some. So it really just depends on your preference. Again, another cool thing about Tago is you can just be as creative as you want with it. And I think that's what makes it fun, to be quite honest. That you can really take advantage of things that you're thinking you can make come to life with Tago, which I think is really neat. So again, here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go. So there's a couple different ways to get to Tago Run. I could download the generic TagoIO Run application from Google Store for free, and I could just type in this URL. Obviously, if you have a custom mobile app that we help build for you and deploy to Google Store and Apple Store, they would access it through there. For the sake of this, I'm just going to use the tab. And you can see there's my cool image in the background. You see people walking. Again, it's totally up to you, whatever you think. In this particular case, I'm going to go ahead and sign up. So I'm going to say Dave. I will say Hall. I'll just say Dave@test.com. And then I'll give it a password. But keep in mind that when I was in Tago Run configuring this, I can add fields to this. I can make them required or not required. For the sake of this, for our TagoIO 101 webinar that we're doing today, I kept it pretty simple, but I think you guys understand. You can really do whatever you want with this. And then I'm going to say sign up. Okay, so right now, if I was trying to log in, it would not let me. Dave@test.com. It won't let me, and I'll show you why. And there's a reason why I wanted to show you this. If I just go back to my main configuration, admin at Tago, I can come in here and I could say, so notice the difference here. I have two users. I have Dave Hall and John Doe. John Doe is active. So me as an administrator, I own the dashboard. I've set this up very easily right out of the box to where I don't want just anybody accessing my dashboard. I want to be able to choose who accesses the dashboard. You can open this wide up to where anybody you give that URL to can just go straight into your dashboard. But this is the most common use case here. So I'm going to select Dave. And over here on the far right, you can see that it's not active. So here, basically what I'm doing, I'm confirming, saying yes, I want this individual to have access to my dashboard. And then from there, when I go to deploy, this is where we get into access a little bit. I could go into access and you can create a new policy here. I already have one and it looks very similar to this. So I'm going to go back to that one, but this is where you can create a new policy. So where you could say, I'll go through this, you know, on different fields, you have to meet certain conditions in order to access your dashboard or for your run users to access your dashboard. But in this particular case, I already have one. So here what I have is my policy name is all, obviously you could name that to whatever you want. Here I have it for my run users and I have it by ID, but you can use a tag. So with your users, you can give each user a tag, tag match, or you could just say any. Here, I'm gonna say ID and I already have John Doe, but I wanna add myself. So here I'm going to select ID. And I'm already populated through here. So any users that you have in your list will show up here and you could just select them. I will select them. And then from here, what I've done here is in permissions, I just clicked add a new permission. And I said, what do I want to allow them to have access to? Well, the dashboard, because it's Tago Run. And there's one rule selected. I'm using the field ID as we see here. And it's my weather dashboard. So I've just selected weather, but you can see here, I have ice cream. The ice cream dashboard that we just created is populated here. So you'll see your dashboards that you have here. But I'm going to go ahead and choose that. I'm going to apply my changes immediately. And just go back to my user to make sure, yep, he's activated. Everything is good there. So now when I go back to my tab, I see there's Dave Test with my password in here. And I'm just going to go ahead and sign in. And now what it's doing is accessing the dashboard that we've created. So here again, there's a couple key things to note here, by the way. So now I am your Tago Run user. There's not a lot, and by design, there's not a lot I could do here. It is permission based. So you could have people based on what you want them to be allowed to do on your dashboards. But most people use this just as I'm explaining it today here for this 101 conversation. There's my dashboard. Everything's looking in real time. You notice I do not have an edit button, and I do not have the traditional configuration pane here on the left with a super user would have, where you folks would have it. But here I can come in here. I could see things. You could have tabs in here within your dashboards and those sort of things, which makes it very useful for that. In-app notifications and so on and so forth. So with that, if I go back just a little bit, I could do the same thing for this ice cream dashboard. So I could have 5 dashboards here and I can configure them. So here again, just real quick, let's edit this. And I will show you files here very quickly. If I was just to edit the entire dashboard, here's some really cool things that you could do. You could put an image in the background. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. If I go to files, I'm going to have to come back to this. But if I just, let me go over here. Let me finish that. I'm going to go to my files and I'll show you the concept that I was talking about. So here I have a background JPEG. And I'm just going to say over here on the far right, copy URL. I'm going to go back to my dashboard. I'm going to copy in that dashboard and you can see that the image is already there. You could have certain tabs within your dashboards as well. And there's a few other things here. You could distribute tags and things like that. But for the sake of this one, I'm just going to show how you guys do a quick little cool image. A lot of people take advantage of this, so I like to call it out on these for beginner users of Tago. So you can kind of see how it's going to work. And there's my cool background. And again, I can go back into edit mode. And then as I showed you at the top of the call, you can come in here and edit these. I won't do a whole bunch here. I just might change a color or something like that here. But you can come in and really change all these sorts of things on how you want it to look. So it'd be very, very easy to use. So I'll just go ahead and close that out. But there, within, I don't know, 5 minutes, we've created a dashboard. We've allowed user access through Tago Run. We have put in a very cool background image. And I've shown you how to configure your widgets and things like that for the look and feel that you would like. Again, creativity is what it's all about for me. So I hope that helped you guys a lot. Again, I am your customer success manager. So if you guys have any questions or anything like that, just get a hold of me and I'll be glad to help you out with whatever I can. But with that, I think we're ready for Q&A, Fabio, right?
Yeah, I think so. Very good job, David. As you said, a couple of minutes here, we're able to put everything together. Of course, people will think how they can do this easier or faster, and they can do, right? As soon as they get the documentation and are focused on their application, there are a lot of resources available for them. So again, we are open for questions. So feel free to make your questions here, and you'll go from there. One that we had here is, how do I create a PDF file? Yeah, how do I create a PDF file? That's a more broader question.
What I can tell you, there's a couple different ways you can do it. Obviously, it's going to be through analysis, but the quickest way to answer your question, if I just open up another tab here real quick, and if I just go to the community, take advantage of the community, guys. There's a ton of information in here. You can't lose going to the community, whether you need to ask a question or you need to figure out how to create a PDF report. So let's just type in PDF report. Oops. Generate email PDF report, how to generate a beautiful PDF report. So all that information, we don't have enough time on this call for me to explain the entire thing, but this is going to do it for you, I promise you. Just go to the community. It'll help you out here.
Okay.
It's as cool as this.
Yeah, you can customize the way you want. Another one, for how long does TagoIO keeps my data?
It matters what level. If you have a free account, we keep it for 30 days, but keep in mind the data is yours. So if you had another server, you can download your data, you can keep your own data, but for the free accounts, we keep it for 30 days. For starter and scale, we keep it forever, basically.
Okay. Okay, another one here. How many profiles can I have? And what's the purpose of the profile?
Okay, that's a good question. You can have up to how many profiles? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank with the free account, but let me explain profiles here. Here what you can see is I have many different profiles. So think of this as Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Each profile, think of it as its own account underneath your main account. Each one has its own Tago run. Each one has its own admin privileges and things like that. So it's really an account. It's an account. That's exactly what it is, but it's under your main account. So I can treat Coca-Cola and Pepsi totally differently. Obviously, they're segregated too. So Coca-Cola can't see Pepsi's, Pepsi's can't see Coca-Cola. So you can configure it the same. So keep in mind, it's just an isolated account. It's exactly what you're seeing here. And it's a great way to manage and deploy different solutions for different ideas. If I had smart agriculture here, and then over here, I might have smart farming. I'm going to use two different profiles for that, and I'm going to deploy them separately. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Yeah, and about how many, when you have one account, you already have one profile. So if you need more profile, there is additional cost for that. It's $39. Then you can start adding more resource to that profile. And as David mentioned, that's a good way to use, for example, for different companies because you want different URLs, or also some customers use it just to have a sandbox, right? They want to separate from the main function. So that's important not to be confused about how many applications you can have. Because in one profile, like David is showing here, he has just 2 dashboards, this example, right? And let's say that you want to have 10 customers. You can have just one account for all 10 customers. You don't need to have and pay more profiles. You just have more profiles if you want to separate, and then you can collaborate with people to access that specific profile. As David said, you want to protect, right? You don't want guys from Coca-Cola to see what's going on Pepsi, right? But it's your decision. So Sandbox is very good because you can mess up there and have the team work around without impact what's in production, what you have been deployed for a while. Let's see. And a question here, does Tago support device OTA updates? No, we don't provide from Tago directly a way to control over-the-air updates. There are several softwares and services that does that. And frankly, that's why we don't have, there are so many different ways. However, it doesn't mean that there is no way that Tago can help there. For example, we have customers. Let me give you one example. One customer, he has LoRa devices with gateways using Verizon AT&T cellular, okay? They use Tago to send a command information that they need to get update over the air. Okay, I know that's very simple, but that it does. Hey, there is a new software version. Here is the URL. So we're not doing the controlling of the version that normally the software going to do, right? But we give this option so that the company can use the Tago and they can see the dashboard, the version of the software and so on. But all the work, the background to get the software secure in a URL, control the version, that's done separately. Okay. So far, I have no more question here. If somebody has any other question, feel free to ask now. Meanwhile, I can talk about our next webinar. We are preparing another technical webinar, talk about how to scale applications with TagoIO. So you'll be next level, you'll be something to show you how to automate things. For example, David showed there that the John Doe goes there and create account. Okay, he manually went there and put a tag. How you automate that so that when John Doe go there and just sign up, a dashboard will show up, a device will be associated. So you're gonna be doing this webinar with technical guys, not gonna be myself. You're gonna be bring the developer. They're gonna present how things work. Okay, so that's all, David. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. And hopefully this got you guys off to a good start. But again, look at our videos, our community, our documentation. You can find all kinds of self-help stuff. So I can't stress that enough. There's lots of great help out there. But thank you, everybody.